Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our ESPN panel. We are your hosts, Nicole Farina,
Tyler McGillivray,
and Paul Sampson.
On tonight's episode, we will be discussing Billy Hawkins' book, The New Plantation, Black Athletes, College Sports, and Predominantly White NCAA Institutions, also known as PWIs. So to start off, Hawkins' book is an interesting mixture between using data, statistics, charts, and others' research with his own knowledge and personal anecdotes, as he himself is a former black basketball player at a PWI. This all makes his arguments seem pretty credible, wouldn't you guys say?
I completely agree with the credibility factor. I think it's interesting that while the focus in this book was to highlight the controversial and unfair treatment of black athletes at PWI, Hamilton takes the time to look at the benefits for black athletes that come from being a star in the NCAA. For example, these are benefits like receiving a college degree, being able to network, and working to achieve social mobility on and off the court or the field.
Right, but I do think there's a bigger picture when, in his argument here is attending an NCAA D1 institution to be much more positive experience, than it actually is for these athletes.
Yeah, I agree. In the case of most black athletes at PWIs, they're the breadwinners, and that's basically it. Hamilton is saying that they need a more productive environment socially, culturally, and academically, not just athletically. There's so much more to a person than just their athletic skills.
See, it's like what we talked about in class, there's this expectation that black bodies are for entertainment. In PWIs, it goes back in time to when, they're saying the N-word while there are black football players making mistakes on the field, and that's not just fair at all for black athletes.
Exactly, and going off of that, Hamilton's most compelling argument, in my opinion, was how he used colonialism and intercolonialism to explain the economic exploitation of black athletes at PWIs.
I agree. Basically, he compared the revenue by slaves for slave owners to revenue generated by black male athletes for their PWIs and their coaches, which, when he puts it like that, it's completely on point.
I think the most compelling argument for me is that the fact that Hamilton compared these black athletes to the auxiliary migrant workers, the workers knew that all they had to do was labor. And the students also knew that, they had to work hard in colleges when they come here for sports, but then it's really not fair to them when they're just working hard and get nothing from it, no benefits at all.
Right, agreed. Well, I think we all enjoyed this book for the most part. It was pretty interesting, pretty easy to read, very informative. But I think my main issue, or just a critique with Hamilton's book, would be that his ideas for reform for black athletes in PWIs weren't as strong or useful as his main arguments were.
Nicole, cannot agree with you more. I think it's super important that he does offer potential solutions in the first place, instead of just complaining about it. Because in that case, it would definitely force a more negative connotation on the subject matter, as well as push negative implications out into society. I just would have liked to see some more concrete, effective reforms.
I definitely do agree with that because, with the reform that he does offer, he also does not offer really even consider any of the possible consequences that could come with the reform, the reform proposals and strategies.
Right, because underneath the surface of his reform ideas is to reform the NCAA as a whole. It's such a huge organization with laws and principles that there would definitely be a need for a lot of effort to take forth, and a lot of legal action would have to be taken as well.
But all in all, The New Plantation was a great read, and I highly recommend it to anyone who wants to learn more about black athletes in PWIs or just about the NCAA in general. It can have a broad readership and can be an academic focus or a casual read if you wish. Thanks for tuning in and have a great night.